Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather not merely to recount a sensational legal battle, but to witness how the weight of truth, when spoken plainly and powerfully, can ripple through even the most ironclad legacies. The courtroom was packed, buzzing with anticipation, when the headlines first broke. Barron Trump, the youngest son of former President Donald Trump, had filed a lawsuit against Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. The claim defamation, a bold move, unprecedented really. Barron, long kept out of the political fray, was now at the center of it. And yet, what unfolded was not just about legal arguments or the fiery exchanges between lawyers. It was about a single moment, a testimony that lasted just 9 seconds, which shook the very foundation of the narrative Barron had tried to build. The story begins with Jasmine Crockett, a rising Democratic star from Texas, known for her sharp wit, unflinching honesty, and, perhaps most notably, her refusal to be intimidated. She made remarks during a televised interview, blunt, unfiltered, and, according to Trump's legal team, deeply damaging to Barron's character. What she said struck a nerve, questioning not just political loyalties but the very integrity of someone who until now had been treated as off-limits. But Barron wasn't a child anymore. He was 19, and as he tried to step into the public arena, he found that he couldn't enjoy the privileges of privacy while hurling accusations into the spotlight. The lawsuit accused Crockett of spreading lies, of damaging Barron's reputation beyond repair. But the defense mounted by Crockett's legal team was both simple and strategic. Prove that what she said wasn't defamatory, because it was, at least in part, rooted in reality. And that's where the surprise witness came in. No one expected the quiet man who took the stand. No one had heard of him before, not the press, not the spectators, not even Trump's attorneys. He wasn't a political insider, not a disgruntled ex-employee, nor some vengeful operative. He was a former teacher, a man whose brief testimony would echo far beyond the courtroom walls. The room fell silent as he adjusted the microphone and looked directly at the jury. He was asked one question by Crockett's lawyer. "Can you tell us under oath what you witnessed regarding Mr. Trump's conduct in school?" The teacher took a breath and said, simply, "I saw entitlement without effort, cruelty without cause, and power used not to uplift, but to diminish." That was it. 9 seconds, just 21 words, but they landed like thunder. There was a collective shift in the courtroom, the kind that doesn't require words, the kind that tells you a truth has just been spoken. The prosecution froze. Barron Trump, usually composed, flinched, because in those 21 words, the witness didn't just speak about a boy in a classroom. He spoke to a pattern, to a character, to a legacy being shaped not by PR handlers or family name, but by the actual impact one has on others. The court may have required more evidence, more testimony, more back, and forth to officially rule on the case, but public opinion shifted instantly. It was no longer a matter of who said what. It was now about who people believed. And in that moment, they believed the teacher. You see, legacy isn't something you inherit. It's not a mansion in Florida or a skyscraper in Manhattan. Legacy is what remains in the silence after your name is spoken. It's the stories people whisper when they think no one is listening. And for Barron Trump, those 9 seconds cracked open the image he'd spent years trying to protect. Jasmine Crockett didn't win because she was louder or more famous or politically shielded. She won because someone stood up and told the truth, plainly and fearlessly. And that truth resonated deeper than any campaign slogan or courtroom strategy. The Trump name has long been associated with bravado, lawsuits, and media spectacles. But even that legacy can falter when confronted with quiet, unshakable honesty. In the days that followed, commentary poured in. News outlets scrambled to analyze the teacher's words. Social media exploded with interpretations, memes, debates. Some tried to discredit him, but it was too late. The damage, or perhaps the clarity, was done. Young Barron, perhaps hoping to assert control over his public identity, instead found that stepping into the legal spotlight made him accountable to truths he couldn't spin. There's something profoundly poetic about how it all unfolded. The son of one of the most powerful and controversial men in modern history tried to use the legal system as a weapon, but discovered that the truth, once released, is a force far stronger than any courtroom can contain. Crockett didn't just defend herself. She held up a mirror to a young man who had never been challenged to look beyond his reflection. This case wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about politics. It was about power. The power to define yourself, the power to challenge injustice, the power to speak truth to privilege. And in the end, it was a soft-spoken teacher, not a high-profile attorney or a millionaire influencer, who showed us all what that power really looks like. So let this be a lesson, not just to Barron Trump, but to all who think legacy can be manufactured, that public image can replace character, words matter, deeds matter more. And when history looks back on this strange, brief courtroom drama, it won't be remembered for the lawsuit or the headlines, but for the moment one man stood up and shattered a carefully crafted illusion in just 9 seconds.